Y'all, Mercury retrograde is over. Eclipse season is over. We are moving past a lot of the more chaotic aspects of the beginning of spring and moving into maybe not necessarily a super calm phase, but a lot more of a grounded phase, in my opinion. This week definitely feels like one of getting settled, getting a bit more grounded, getting things kind of in order, especially relationship-wise. I feel like we still have maybe a bit of a hangover of some things that came up in previous weeks, and we're able to kind of get clear, kind of look at what is in front of us and be able to organize it a bit better. But welcome, y'all. It is your girl, Alina, and in this video, we will be covering my weekly forecast video covering April 29th to May 5th. So let's get settled, let's get cozy for the week. Happy Sunday if you're watching this the day that it goes up weekly. And yeah, I also want to mention that I will be releasing my Taurus new moon all signs forecast for the upcoming lunation happening in the following week. So keep an eye out for that. Be sure to have your notification bell turned on. But with that said, let's start. All right, so first up, Monday, April 29th. It's so hard to process the fact that April is already over. I don't know about you, but I feel like because I make calendars, like my astrology planners and wall calendars, I'm always forgetting what year it is because I'm always focused on the next one. And then now that I'm doing these weekly forecast videos, it seems like time is just going by way more quickly because I'm always looking to the future in a lot of ways. So it's just like, I feel like my perception of time is very warped. But as we already know, Monday is ruled by the moon. So in general, any lunar transits that we see today will be felt more potently. And if you want to do anything in alignment with the aspects of your life that the moon rules over, Monday is a potent day for that. So think about holding space for your inner world, your emotions, your intuition. I feel like Monday is a potent day for reflecting on the previous week for that reason. And I feel like Sunday, because it's Sunday, it's a great day to recharge, call our energy back to ourselves and receive good energy, receive good things, whether that's laying back and receiving good information from podcasts. You see, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we see that on Monday, the moon will still be in the sign of Capricorn, which is very favorable for anything like long-term planning, anything career related, anything having to do with your ambitions or building any form of structure in your life. It can be a great day for that, especially starting out the week. So there's already this general tone to the week of just being a little bit more focused and getting, putting our energy into things that create foundations and long-term results. And that doesn't necessarily always have to be career-wise. The practicality that we get from the moon transiting Capricorn can be applied to any aspect of our life. It could be applied to, oh, am I going to meal prep this week? Build that foundation for my life. Or am I going to, really prioritize rest, really build that foundation of me showing up feeling energized by first pouring into myself in that way. We also see that Venus will be entering Taurus on Monday. Now, this is really great news because Venus rules over Taurus. So it's going back to its home sign where it feels the most comfortable. So over the next 3 weeks, our finances, our love life, things having to do with our business, anything like that, our relationships are really going to be getting a positive energetic boost because Venus is in its home sign right now. So especially if you want to start planning things that are more romantic or making some financial moves in some way, especially considering that the moon is in Capricorn, if you want to do anything like that on Monday, that can be very beneficial. It can also be a really potent time for taking really gentle, soft, kind actions towards yourself, doing any sort of self-love work, whether that's, journaling, writing a love letter to yourself. I love the idea of literally writing a letter to yourself as if you are your own parent or your own mentor or your own teacher. And you're just writing to yourself saying like, hey, I'm so proud of you because of this, this, and this, and these things and these experiences, and you got through that, and things like that, really pouring into yourself in a way, especially if you feel like that's something that you'd like to attract or manifest in your life, having positive affirmations given to you or words of affirmation is a potent love language for you, giving that to yourself first and really embodying that energy of appreciation and receiving love in that way can be a great way to attract it. So I feel like Monday can be a great day for that reason, especially with Venus going into Taurus. I'm just so happy about that. It's just it's a very harmonious state for Venus to be in. Next up on Tuesday, we know that Tuesday is ruled by Mars, so it's a potent day for taking action and also looking to the state that Mars is in, because we will be most potently feeling it. And on Tuesday, we see that Mars will be ingressing into Aries, its home sign that it normally rules over. So just like we see with Venus, Mars is also coming home to itself. It's also going into a very benefic sign for itself. It's very comfortable in the sign of Aries. And so over the next few weeks, we will all collectively feel a lot more comfortable, and I feel like we'll be feeling more sustained energy coming back to us for that reason. Because when Mars is in Aries, it's really able to more potently imbue these very energizing, strengthening, confidence boosting energy onto us. On Tuesday, ruled by Mars, we're getting this awesome transit involving Mars. We also see that the moon will be entering the sign of Aquarius. So in terms of our inner world on Tuesday and the next few days that it'll be transiting Aquarius, there's a lot of benefit when it comes to us tapping into the collective, tapping into the state of the collective, contributing to the collective, receiving from our community. So giving and receiving in that way. And also just thinking outside of the box. Aquarius is very creative, very progressive in that way. And so it will feel a lot more intuitive for us and a lot more rewarding, especially if you're doing anything creative and you've been kind of wanting to choose a good time to really get clear on something or get into a creative state. I think that when the moon is transiting Aquarius, it's such a great time to do that. Now, next on Tuesday, this is where we start to see some transits heavily involving Venus that can create a bit of challenge potentially in our relationships. So first up, we see that the moon in Aquarius will be squaring Venus in Taurus. So when we see this type of transit, it can tend to bring about potential situations where we feel like we have to choose between wanting to feel free, you know, what our inner world wants, which is wanting to feel a little bit more malleable, a little bit more open to possibilities, maybe wanting to try new things. And we're being called to kind of strike this balance between that. Or it's more so we're not being asked to strike a balance, but it feels like that energy, that Aquarius lunar energy, is at odds with Venus and Taurus energy of wanting to create more structure, consistency, and predictability within our relationships. And so there might be a potential butting heads within that space where maybe you or someone else is trying to do something new, something different, something progressive, or just trying to have some space, just some space to breathe. You know what I mean? Or I feel like it could be a situation of like, oh, I want to go do these things with my friends, or I want to do this different thing. And maybe a friend, a family member, or someone you're in a relationship with is like, actually, we need to do these more responsible, structured things over here. Or actually, I have this expectation of this consistency. And so there might be a potential situation like that coming up on Tuesday, especially with Mars entering the sign of Aries. You know, it's at its full capacity force of imbuing us with being very direct if we need to be. There being less of this stagnation or clouded mind within that space. So it's a lot easier for us to be very direct in our actions. And so there could potentially be some issues there. We also see that Venus and Taurus will also be squaring Pluto, which is also in Aquarius. Okay? So Pluto and the moon are having this dance right now, which is all about this Aquarius themes. You know, Pluto is all about our imagination and our spirituality. And when there's a square off between that and Venus and Taurus, there can be this issue, or we can sort of experience a sort of power struggle when it comes to things that almost, it could be potential jealousy, paranoia as well, where there's not a good sort of balance right now when it comes to holding space for the more creative, fluid aspect of things. And there's this rigidity there. That's what's showing up with Venus in Taurus right now. Like basically the shadow sides of either planet are coming about in this square off. But either way, there's some challenging aspects that are coming about on Tuesday, especially involving our relationships. But I would say don't let it discourage you, because especially with the lunar transit with Venus, it's very fleeting, and it'll likely be most potently felt on that day. Now, following Tuesday, we see May 1st. is landing on a Wednesday, which is ruled by Mercury. Wednesday is a potent day. For that reason, it's a potent day for communication, getting information across to one another, especially because Mercury is direct now. We're still in its shadow period, so there still can be some hiccups. Wednesday can be a great day for all things that of the air. So internet, information exchange, learning, teaching, getting your point across, especially if you feel like there was a lot of maybe heavier energy, especially in relationships on Tuesday. There can be some levity brought about thanks to Wednesday coming in and us feeling the state of Mercury a lot more potently on that day. It could be a great day, especially if you felt like you needed to walk away from something, or you felt like there needed to be some space created on Tuesday. On Wednesday, it can be a lot more a lot easier for us to maybe come back together and try again with communicating our needs and hearing, also really hearing and trying to hear with an open mind other people's perspectives. Next up, on May 1st, on Thursday, we know that Thursday is ruled by Jupiter, so it can be a very lucky, auspicious, and expansive day for that reason. We also see that the moon will be ingressing into Pisces. So over the next few days, as it will be in the sign of Pisces, it can make it a very beneficial day for tapping into our spiritual practices. It's really amplifying the state of Neptune as well. And it can be a really potent time for just exploring our imagination, creativity especially. I feel like Thursday, Friday will be really beautiful days for exploring our creativity. But we also see the most notable transit on Thursday, May 2nd, will be when Pluto goes retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. Now, just to set the stage, Pluto is the planet of change, transformation, regeneration, death, and rebirth. It's the type of planet that when it's involved in any sort of transit, you know that it's involving change. It's involving revelations coming up as well, like new information. Also our shadow side, the shadow of things coming up, kind of rearing their head because they've been ignored, and there needing to be some restructuring to create more balance and acknowledgement of all aspects of life. And so when it's in retrograde, it's really this time to reflect on things like our control issues, our wanting to keep things the same and keep things structured. Also exploring our subconscious motives, and also unresolved psychological conflicts as well. Again, going back to the shadow aspect of things, unresolved things that are making us unconsciously act a certain way or see the world in a certain lens that we didn't even realize. And in general, when we have any form of a retrograde, we generally see different levels of stagnation, of hiccups, and of situations where we're being called to draw inwards more so than outwards. So Pluto can create a lot of change in the world, but when retrograde, it can tend to create a lot of internal change and transformation within us. And considering that it's transiting Aquarius, this is going to be a very collective themed retrograde, where there's going to be a lot of reflection and themes around transformation within societal structures, our roles within them, revisiting any sort of ideas of freedom, innovation, collective power, and potentially uncovering hidden truths and secrets on a broader collective level. And what I mean by that is, because I know I just said like, oh, this has to do with our internal world, right? And it definitely does. But because it's transiting Aquarius, there's going to be a lot of themes of us looking at our broader world and our broader society, what is and isn't changing, what's been promised to us, what hasn't been promised to us, what has been given based off of those promises and what hasn't, and how we feel as an individual. Like, what role do I play in my collective? What role do I play in acknowledging, healing from, and partaking in the processing of our collective shadows? In general, like I said before, Pluto retrograde, there's so many themes where we're likely going to have experiences that make us pause, and it elicits within us a conversation around what are my unconscious motives? What is my subconscious trying to protect me from based off of maybe trauma or conditioning or all of these things? So there's going to be a lot of deeper rooted conversations in that way, namely having to do with our shadows, but the shadows of our collective as a whole and the part that we play in growing. Okay, moving on to Friday. We know that Friday is ruled by Venus, which is currently in Taurus. and it's happy in that state. So this makes Friday, when we're looking to the state of Venus, it's a very happy time. It's a very loving time, a time for relationships, for romance, for going out, for giving and receiving love as well. So this can be a beautiful day for self-love, self-care, treating ourselves, really pouring into ourselves in the way that we would like to see others pour into us at some point, really embodying the vibration that which we seek, especially when it comes to giving and receiving love. We also see that the moon in Pisces will be conjuncting Saturn, also in Pisces. And when we see this type of transit, especially with these lunar transits, because the moon moves so quickly, it can be very fleeting, but they can be very potently felt on the specific day. So on May 3rd, on Friday, when we see this transit, it can bring an air of somberness and an air of seriousness when it comes to facing and holding space for our inner world and our emotions. There's this, we might experience something that calls us to hold space either for ourselves or for others' emotional needs in some way. And it's about dealing with responsibilities, learning lessons, also about limits and boundaries in a compassionate way. Whether that's realizing, wow, I don't feel good and I need to take this seriously and I need to set a boundary, or somebody communicating that to you, or realizing, oh, I need to protect someone in my life or something in my life and take this seriously because this is really affecting us on an emotional level. That might be more potently felt, especially because they're transiting Pisces. This is a water sign of deep emotions, the deep waters that flow within us. And again, we've been having these transits that are asking us to dive deeper into our shadows and also hold space for change. Change in general can be very triggering for us, for many people, because it elicits our need for control, because all of us in some capacity enjoy consistency, right? And enjoy, creating predictability in certain environments. That way we feel safe. And so when things change, it can trigger within us the root of why we needed that consistency and that stuff. So seeing that the week is kind of wrapping up, the work week is kind of wrapping up with this transit, there's again in alignment with this theme of like, okay, like these things were maybe upsetting for me or others, like let's really tap into what that means for us. We also see that Mars in Aries will be sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. Now, what's good about this transit is that it can be very energizing and it can make us feel a lot more confident and capable to tackle change, especially change within our collective and our societal space. So that can be more immediate collective, that could be our family, our immediate community, our town, our county, but it could involve the country or the world in some way. Either way, we're feeling a lot more energized and capable to take things on. And considering that the moon will be conjuncting with Saturn in Pisces, it could apply to that. It could be like, oh my gosh, like there's this seriousness that we need to handle. Like this is really heavy and we need to handle it. But I feel on a collective level, not just with myself, but just looking around at the people around me, a lot more confident to take this and handle it a lot more head on. So there might be a heaviness, a bit of a heaviness, a bit more of an emotional, a spike in emotions on Friday, but we also will likely feel a lot more capable to take it on, especially over the weekend as well. Okay, next on Saturday, we know that Saturday is ruled by Saturn. It is Saturn Day. So it's a very energetically supportive day for upholding our promises, taking aligned steps with our responsibilities, and being open to the lessons that we might have had over the week, really getting into that headspace if we're, curious about, man, that was a really difficult situation. Maybe what was I being called to learn there? Saturday is a great day for doing that. And I think that also the moon conjuncting with Saturn in Pisces on the previous day, on Friday, will also be potently felt on this day. Or will be more potently feeling the after effects of it. But we also see that the moon still in Pisces will now be conjuncting Neptune in Pisces. So I think that especially on Friday night or Saturday night, you might notice some more vivid dreams coming about because the moon is really amplifying the state of Neptune, which is in its home sign of Pisces. And it's really, and we know that Neptune is all about our dreams, our creativity, our manifestations as well, this dimension and the next, and stuff like that. So seeing that it's conjuncting with Neptune, really amplifying its energy in that way. Yeah, I think that definitely expect some vivid dreams, and also maybe a stronger intuition. If you're going to be going out in social situations, be open-minded to that as well. But we also see that the moon, following that conjunction with Neptune, which is relatively fleeting. Again, the moon moves so quickly. So a lot of these moon transits will be very potently felt that day, likely. So for example, this conjunction with Neptune will likely be more potently felt the first half of the day, because later on the same day, the moon will be entering the sign of Aries. So it will be conjuncting with Mars in the sign of Aries. It'll be joining Mars, transiting the same sign. And so there's going to be a lot of energy, because the moon will be amplifying the Mars in its home sign. Oh my gosh. By the way, it's snowing outside right now. It was raining and now it's snowing. And literally the last few days were sunny and warm. And that's just, you know, Denver spring for us. Another aspect of this is that of the moon conjuncting with Mars is that it's really amplifying yesterday's Mars sextile with Pluto and making us feel very capable. I feel like it's going to be giving us a lot of clarity around the importance of taking action and the action steps that are necessary and needed, that we feel called to make in terms of tackling more collective, complex issues. So that is the state of Saturday. But again, considering that Saturday is ruled by Saturn and Mars is coming into play, you know, offering us a lot of energy and feeling capable to take action and to tap into our courage in a lot of ways, I think that we're going to be noticing a lot of people being more vocal, a lot of people taking action in ways that we haven't seen before when it comes to handling collective issues. And finally, on Sunday, we know that Sunday is ruled by the sun, and it's a potent day for honoring our personal needs, really receiving good energy, because, you know, the sun revitalizes us. The sun charges us up. So it's a great day for pouring into ourselves and really taking time to ourselves in that way to also just tap into what fires us up. But we also see that the moon in Aries will be conjuncting with Mercury in Aries. So again, really aligned with these very action-oriented Mars in Aries themes as well, when the moon is moving from really amplifying that action-oriented aspect of Mars and into this very vocal information exchange, articulate energy of Mercury on Sunday, where we feel very capable and energized and direct when it comes to speaking our truth and also receiving information with clarity. Again, post Mercury retrograde, I think a lot of stuff is going to be coming out, and a lot of we're going to be able to connect the dots in a much more clear way. But that concludes my week ahead reading, y'all. Please comment down below if you've already been feeling any of these transits, if you have, because especially post full moon, you know, we're still in action here. We're still getting clear on a lot of things. And so for a lot of us, we got clear on the actions that we want to take. And so seeing that so many planets are going to be transiting Aries and coming together in Aries as well, amplifying one another, it's very interesting to see, especially for the spring season, which is all about new life and being in action. So I'd love to hear what you think. But with that said, I will leave you with my favorite quote, and that is, be gentle with yourself, because life is about the journey, not the destination. All right, I'll see you in the next one.